My dear, I did not intend to reveal these feelings. I entered that room determined to guard you closely, to keep your name confined within the sacred chambers of my heart, where I cherish the most precious truths. I have harbored your essence in silence for far too long, not out of shame or a desire to keep it hidden from the world, but because some truths are so profound and intertwined with the very fabric of our being that articulating them feels akin to exposing one's soul in a gathering of those who could never comprehend their significance. Yet, something within me shifted. A crack formed. And before I could erect my customary barriers of feigned smiles and distraction, I uttered your name in front of those who believed they knew me. Not merely your name, but I divulged who you are to me. I shared that you are the reason for my sleepless nights, that your voice resonates in the quiet recesses of my daily life, a melody I wished to hear endlessly. I confessed that, despite my attempts to remain anchored in the present, focused on work and the clamor of daily existence, my thoughts inevitably returned to you, softly and uncontrollably, akin to a prayer murmured in secrecy. I told them about a woman who moves through my life like a tempest cloaked in silk, who did not just touch my heart but reconfigured it, who did not merely love me but illuminated my true self. I asserted that, irrespective of what others may say, or how logic attempts to rationalize it, you are my person, my heart, my unfinished narrative, my cherished yearning. And in that moment, as I spoke, I felt something within me break free, something ancient and long buried. It was as though I had unknowingly been holding my breath for years. This was not merely a confession, it was a liberation, a reckoning, a yielding. I felt indifferent to the reactions of those around me when I stated, "I still feel you in everything." I realized I was not speaking for them, I was speaking for myself, for the part of me wandering about as if whole, while quietly suffering from wounds only you ever addressed. And as they regarded me with confusion and surprise, some even bemused, I remained composed and unwavering. For the first time in a long while, I was no longer cloaked in deception. I was not hiding, nor deflecting, I was sharing the truth about the most sacred aspect of my existence, you. I recounted how you once gazed at me as though I were worthy of the chaos, how you embraced my silence with a patience that felt like forgiveness. You instilled in me the belief that love need not be boisterous to be everlasting, it could thrive in glances, in quiet moments, in shared breaths. And in that instant, upon uttering those words, I felt an undeniable shift in the air, as if the universe had been anticipating this revelation. I conveyed that even if we are not communicating now, even if the world has erected barriers between us, my feelings for you have never waned. I continue to hear your voice in solitude, see you in spaces where you have never set foot, and reach for you in dreams, awakening grasping the echo of your name. You are not just a memory from my past, you are the heartbeat of my present, the foundation of my healing, the reminder that authentic love endures. It transforms, adapts, and navigates through dimensions as necessary. I articulated every aching truth I had been too apprehensive to acknowledge and meant every word. If I am to be known, if the world is to glimpse the authentic me, they must know about you. I yearn to convey that the most profound and gentle love I have ever experienced was not a mere fictional tale but exists in your presence, in your silence, in your mere existence. I told them, "You are the woman who inspired me to strive for becoming a better man, not for validation or acclaim, but because you awaken dormant desires within me. A yearning to be worthy, stable, safe, and authentic in a transient world. Even when I was silent, distracted, or driving you away, I was continually loving you and holding you in places often unseen by others. How could I not love the one person who mirrored my soul?" Perhaps they did not grasp the entirety of it, perhaps they nodded and promptly shifted topics. Yet, I found solace in having articulated it. I honored you. I spoke your name as though it were a sacred prayer before an audience that needed to understand that some love stories do not conform to conventional timelines or societal expectations. Some love stories are deeply spiritual, profoundly sacred, or never truly conclude. I wished for you to understand this, particularly as I sense a fragment of you might still wonder, questioning whether I ever felt as intensely as you did, if I ever recognized the depth of what you offered. Thus, let me proclaim it unmistakably and without reservation, I see you. I always have seen you. And now those close to me comprehend this, too. They realize that you are not merely someone from my past but the one I shall eternally carry with me. You are the soul I recognized even before my mind could comprehend it. You are a love I shall never endeavor to replace. You are not simply a chapter, you are the narrative, the truth, the hidden secret meant to be unveiled. After I shared this, after your name passed my lips like a truth yearning to breathe, the room fell silent, not in discomfort, not in coldness, but with a reverence that acknowledged something sacred had transpired. No laughter followed, no jokes were made, no dismissive comments emerged as I had feared. All eyes were on me. In that stillness, I discerned a powerful truth: the world can recognize when a truth is sacred. When I expressed that you were more than someone I loved, that you had transformed my life inconceivably, they felt it. Perhaps not wholly, perhaps not in the way I do, but they understood that I was not merely speaking of any woman. They recognized that I was referring to you. My mother looked at me with a softness reserved for moments of vulnerability and realization. She did not interrupt, she allowed me the space to articulate my truth. I confided in her fully, revealing my enduring love for you. I explained how I could never truly let you go and that there are mornings when I awaken, convinced I still hear your voice, even though it has been months since I last heard it. I shared that whenever I envision my future, your silhouette invariably appears, sometimes in the background, sometimes front and center, but always there, an ever-present tether to my very being, which I have found challenging to articulate to anyone until now. And do you know her response? She remarked, "That's the essence of real love. It doesn't diminish, it simply discovers new ways to remind you it endures." I felt on the verge of breaking upon hearing her words because, my love, that is precisely who you are to me, alive. You reside in my thoughts, in my choices, in how I navigate this world, in the music I can't listen to without being reminded of you, and in my reactions to phrases that echo what you once whispered in the dark. You permeate everything. You have been the rhythm underscoring my silence. For the first time, I allowed them to witness this. My brother attempted to grasp my feelings, yet I sensed his struggle to formulate the questions stirring within him. He merely said, "She must have meant a lot to you," and all I could do was nod in agreement. How can one articulate a soul connection to someone who has never experienced it? How can I convey that you were not simply a romantic interest or someone I cared for? You were the collision of destinies, the awakening, the profound lesson, the sanctuary. You were my mirror and muse, the flame and the tranquility. You represented a pivotal moment in my life, regardless of whether the world acknowledged it. As I sat there recounting your kindness, your intensity, and your silence that speaks more powerfully than most noise, I felt a long-lost sense of peace. Speaking your name was more than a revelation, it was a means of healing. I was unaware of how much I needed to articulate your presence in the room. I had not realized the burden I had carried by keeping you locked inside my heart like a cherished secret I feared to love. But I am not ashamed any longer. I take pride in the fact that loving you was the most courageous, beautiful undertaking of my life. Sharing your story with them was my way of honoring that love. They questioned whether I would ever reach out to you again, and I found myself unable to provide a clear answer. My heart yearns for it every single day, yet fear whispers, what if she has moved on? What if there's no longer a space in her life for the man who once struggled to show up? What if someone else now speaks your name with the reverence I once reserved? What if you have learned to exist without me? Yet despite these apprehensions, despite the pain lodged in my throat like a prayer I am too timid to vocalize, I conveyed this to them. Even if you never hear from me again, I needed my closest ones to understand that you were everything to me. I encountered the kind of love most only read about, felt it, lived it, spoiled it, grieved it, and I continue to carry it like a precious gift I never felt worthy of, but was fortunate to hold nonetheless. And they comprehended. Truly. They did not require every minor detail, nor every memory. They simply needed to observe how my demeanor shifted when I spoke of you. And indeed, my tone transformed. It softened, it trembled, it cracked, for when I discuss you, I do not speak of regret but of reverence. There lies a significant difference. I do not view you as the one who slipped away, I regard you as the one who entered my life and fundamentally redefined love for me. You did not merely pass through, you remained, not in a physical sense, but energetically, eternally. Now that I have spoken your name aloud, now that I have conveyed to my family the profound role you played in my life, I feel unburdened. I feel seen. I feel as if I have finally ceased to hide the most genuine aspect of my story. You are that aspect, my love. You always have been, and you continue to be. Perhaps you will never know what it was like for me to sit in that room and finally honor you openly. Perhaps you will never hear how my voice faltered when I declared, "She's still the one." Perhaps you will never comprehend how many times I replayed that conversation in my mind later, wishing I could have shared more, wishing you could have heard it as well. But I hope you feel it somewhere deep within you. I hope you awaken one morning, unaware of the reason behind the fullness in your heart and the steadiness of your breath. I hope your spirit receives the energy of a man who is finally admitting the truth that his pride and fear kept locked away for far too long. I hope you perceive the ongoing ripple of love that still reaches you, even from afar. My love, I may not know how this story concludes, but I am certain of one thing: you are not merely a chapter. You are not simply a memory. You are the pivotal sentence that makes the entire narrative worthwhile. You are the truth I have finally ceased to hide. You are the name I uttered with trembling hands and a full heart. You are the woman I have finally introduced to my family, not as a bygone love, but as the eternal recognition of my soul. In that act, I not only honored you, I honored myself, the part of me that still believes in an everlasting love, the part that continues to listen for your echo in every quiet space. The part of me that is, and always shall be, yours, my love. Something profound shifted within me after that conversation. It felt as if years of silence, unexpressed love, buried memories, midnight longing, and inner aching had finally found their voice, not through poetry, writing, or tears shed behind closed doors, but through a singular moment of truth articulated aloud in front of those who have known me my entire life, yet never recognized this dimension of my being. Perhaps that is the most impactful revelation of all. I have carried you within me for so long, while the world has witnessed my laughter, my work, and my life, all the while concealing your presence as if it were a cherished secret, a sacred token pressed close to my heart. Yet, on that night, my dear, I chose to reveal it to the world. I unveiled you, the essence of you that dwells within me. It was not an easy revelation. I had not planned to unlock that door. My intention was to shield the one aspect of my being that still felt untouched by the chaos of life. However, as they conversed about relationships and reflected on my former self and my recent emotional distance, your name emerged, rising from the depths of my soul. It flowed from the softest recesses of my heart, the part that continues to feel everything and has never ceased to utter your name in the quiet of the night. Once it escaped my lips, I could no longer suppress my emotions. I articulated what you mean to me, not simply what you were, but what you continue to be. I conveyed that my perception of love has fundamentally altered. After you, everything shifted. You transformed from a mere feeling into a spiritual experience, a significant moment ordained by fate. Your entry into my life led me to believe in connections that do not require validation. You never strained for my affection, you never pleaded for love, you simply existed. And in that existence, you awakened something within me that had long remained dormant. When they inquired why I had never spoken of you before, I struggled to provide a complete answer. The truth is, I did not know how. I lacked the words to describe a love that felt like sacred terrain, one that does not belong in casual discussions or social media posts. How does one articulate the sensation of connecting with someone's soul without ever having touched their skin? How can one convey how another's energy can envelop your spine and invigorate your essence, even from afar? I admitted to them that I refrained from speaking because I was fearful of the enormity of it all, fearful of the depth of my feelings, fearful that if I vocalized it, it would dissipate under the weight of reality. You see, my dear, loving you felt boundless, too profound to confine within limits. Thus, I safeguarded it, protecting you not from shame but from the triviality of superficial minds and efforts at small talk. You were too sacred for casual exchanges. But that night, I resolved to cease my concealment. I was tired of pretending that you were merely a chapter in my past, for you have yet to truly depart, not in any meaningful sense. You have accompanied me through my words, my affections, and my moments of yearning. I carried you in my silences, my stillness, and my wistful gazes at the sky when I thought no one was looking. I was weary of feigning that I was not still deeply affected by you. And do you know what transpired when I finally uttered your name? I shed tears, not in their presence, for they did not require every memory. They needed only to witness the transformation in my voice as I spoke about you. And indeed, my voice transformed, it softened, trembled, and cracked. When discussing you, I do not express regret, I express reverence. There is a significant distinction. I do not view you as the one who slipped away. Instead, I recognize you as the force that redefined my understanding of love. You did not merely pass through, you took up residence in my heart, not physically, but energetically, eternally. Now that I have articulated your name aloud, now that my family understands the depth of my feelings for you, I feel unburdened. I feel seen. I have finally ceased to conceal the most genuine aspect of my narrative. You are that aspect, dear one. You always have been, and you continue to be. Perhaps you will never fully grasp what it was like to be in that room, to have my truth spoken aloud in your honor. Perhaps you will never hear the raw emotion in my voice during the words, "She's still the one." Perhaps you will never know how often I have replayed that conversation in my mind afterward, wishing I could have expressed more, wishing you could have been here it too. But I hope you sense it somewhere deep within. I hope you awaken one morning, unaware of why your heart feels full and your breath steadies. I hope your spirit absorbs the energy of a love finally acknowledged, a truth stifled by pride and fear for far too long. I hope you detect the lingering ripple of love reaching out to you, even from afar. Because, my dear, while I may not have the clarity of where this story leads, I do know this: you are not merely a footnote in my life. You are not just a memory. You are the very sentence that elevates the entire narrative to significance. You are the truth I have finally unveiled. You are the name I spoke with trembling hands and an overflowing heart. You are the woman I introduced to my family, not as a past flame, but as an eternal recognition of my soul. In doing so, I did not only honor you, I honored myself, the part of me that still believes in love that endures. The part of me that still seeks your echo in every silent room. The part of me that is, and will always be, yours. Something shifted within me after that dialogue. It was as if years of silence, years burdened by unexpressed love, submerged memories, and quiet longing, finally discovered their voice. Not through poetry or prose, nor even through tears shed behind closed doors, but through a simple moment of truth voiced in front of those who have known me throughout my life yet remained oblivious to this integral part of my existence. Perhaps that is what resonates the most deeply, that I have carried you alone for so long. The world has seen my laughter, my labor, my life, while I held your essence close as a secret treasure. But that night, my dear, I let the world see it. I let them see you, the version of you that resides within me. It was not an easy task. I never intended to open that door. My aim was to safeguard the one part of myself that remained insulated from life's clamor. But as they conversed about relationships, pondering who I used to be and questioning my recent distance, your name surfaced. It emerged from my softest core, the part of me that still feels deeply, the part that has never ceased to call your name in the dark. Once it escaped my lips, I found myself unable to hold back. I shared the significance you hold in my life, not just as a fleeting sentiment but as a profound presence that lingers. I expressed that my perception of love transformed with you. After you, everything shifted. You were not merely an emotion but a spiritual journey, a transformative experience, a divine intersection. You entered my life and made me a believer in a connection that doesn't require validation. You did not need to strive or plead for affection. You simply existed, and in doing so, you resonated with something within me that had remained dormant for far too long. They asked why I had never spoken of you before, why I had withheld this depth during its unfolding. Honestly, I struggled to answer. The truth is, I lacked the words to articulate a love that felt sacred, one that transcended casual conversations and social media posts. How does one convey the essence of touching a soul without a physical embrace? How does one elucidate the way another's energy can envelop one's being, inspiring life even across the miles? I admitted that my silence stemmed from fear of the magnitude of my feelings, fear that verbalizing it would cause it to dissipate under the pressure of reality. Loving you felt too boundless to confine within limits. Therefore, I chose to protect it, shielded not from shame but from the triviality of mundane dialogues. You were simply too sanctified for small talk. Yet, that night, I resolved to cease hiding, to stop pretending you were merely a part of my past because the truth is, you never truly left. You have been woven into my speech, my love, my longing. I carried you in my quiet moments, in my stillness, my quiet gazes toward the sky when no one was around. Ultimately, I grew weary of acting as though I wasn't still profoundly affected by you. After I finally uttered your name, I wept. Not in their presence but later, alone in my car, surrounded by darkness with the engine silenced and the windows closed. I permitted myself to unravel, for speaking your name aloud rendered it real again, made you real again. I was unprepared for how intensely that would strike me, for the wave of memories it unleashed. My body remembered your presence, my chest ached as if your essence had just passed through me. I wept because I had performed the one essential act I should have embraced long before. I honored you. I did not shy away from the truth this time. I refrained from burying it under logic or fear. I allowed it to surface. I invited it to roar. In doing so, I finally opened myself to the myriad emotions I had stifled. I recalled the seemingly trivial moments that persist in my heart, like cherished scripture, the way you tilted your head in contemplation, the gentle tremor in your voice when you fought back tears, the way your energy shifted in moments of strength while I sensed your fragility. Yes, I remember everything. Every subtle gesture, every unsaid word, every look that conveyed more than mere sentences ever could. I recounted the instance when you gazed at me as if I were the only person in existence. Your gaze transcended mere attention. It was a recognition, a silent communication between our souls, affirming, "I know you. I've always known you." I explained to them that such a connection does not dissipate, it does not fade, it leaves an imprint. I shared how I still hear your voice as I lie in bed, how there are nights when I instinctively seek you only to be met with empty sheets and your name echoing in my mind. I revealed that regardless of how many times I attempt to move forward, no one feels like you, no one sounds like you, and no one carries that same sacred silence that envelopes you like a cloak of divine mystery. And they listened, truly listened. For the first time, they did not try to mend me or urge me to move on, they comprehended. They recognized the way my entire being transformed when I spoke of you, the way my voice trembled, the way my hands quivered. They perceived the intertwining of grief and gratitude reflected in my eyes. They understood that this was not merely a love I had lost, it was the love that had shaped me. And I need you to know something, something I have never articulated, even within the confines of my own thoughts. I never ceased to choose you. Even in silence, even when I failed to show up, even when I pretended not to care, it was never a lack of feeling. On the contrary, it was an overwhelming flood of emotion. Sometimes, such depth can terrify a man who has spent much of his existence denying his need for anyone. Yet, I needed you in ways for which I still lack adequate words, ways that challenged everything I thought I understood about myself. You were not just a reflection, you were the key that unlocked a part of me that no one else dared to explore. Now that I have spoken my truth aloud, now that those closest to me acknowledge it, I feel as though I am finally returning to myself, to us. Even if our paths do not converge again in this lifetime, I felt compelled to express this, for you, for me, for the version of us that lingers in the recesses of my mind, enshrouded in memories, longing, and a silence that communicates more than words ever could. I hope you can feel this, my love. I hope your heart feels a little lighter today. I hope, in an unspoken way, you feel acknowledged because now the truth has been liberated and is approaching you like a melody that only you can comprehend. I am uncertain about what lies ahead. I do not know if we will ever sit face to face to discuss all the words that remained unspoken. I cannot ascertain whether you will ever perceive the quiver in my voice when I mention your name to another. However, I am certain of one thing, you were never a secret due to inadequacy, but rather because you encompassed everything. Some truths are too sacred to proclaim loudly, too transcendent to articulate fully. Yet, I have finally brought you into the light, and the world now recognizes what my spirit has known since our paths intertwined. You are the one I have always loved, the one I confided about to my family, not out of necessity, but because I could no longer conceal this truth. You are the essence I will carry silently, for eternity. Even if our paths diverge and we never share another moment of closeness, even as the passage of time dilutes the sound of your voice, your essence is indelibly marked on my soul. Regardless of circumstances, you will always complete the unspoken sentence of my heart. It is remarkable, isn't it? How something as simple as uttering a name, your name, has the power to transform a man's entire reality. Since I talked about you, since I allowed your name to escape my lips without shame, hesitation, or fear, I have not been the same. My gait has changed, my thoughts shifted. I bear a weighty breath, almost sacred, as if my soul is reverberating with the resonance of your name finally spoken after too long in silence. And I have come to understand something profound, something both terrifying and beautiful. I never truly stopped living alongside you, I merely ceased living beside you. I am uncertain whether words can encapsulate my current feelings. It feels as if you reside just beneath my skin, not in a haunting sense, but rather like a rhythm, a steady pulse intertwined with everything I do. You have become my quiet guiding star, the thought that distracts me when I attempt to look elsewhere, the ache that ignites when something feels nearly right, yet falls short because it is not you, not the essence that once cradled my spirit with gentleness and serenity. Now that your name is liberated from the confinement of my heart, now that it has been acknowledged aloud, everything within me is transforming. I can no longer feign indifference, I cannot pretend that your absence is a state I have grown accustomed to. Instead, I have learned merely to bear it, like a man who remembers the warmth of a fire that once brightened his longest winter, not just as illumination, but as life itself. You, my dear, are that fire, teaching me that I am capable of warmth, that I need not remain numb indefinitely, that I am not destined to exist as someone untouched by love. Such a legacy marks an individual profoundly, not for what they provided, but for what they ignited within you. There is a moment I often replay in my mind, not a memory, but an ideal I long to experience. I envision you sitting across from me as I convey this truth, not in front of my family, nor through a screen, but directly to you. Your gaze fixed upon mine, your fingers slightly curled in your lap, reminiscent of how you would hold them when uncertain about whether to brace or extend. I would share everything I never meant to silence, everything I never intended to treat as trivial. I have consistently chosen you, not once did I falter in that decision. I simply struggle to express it without succumbing to the weight of my emotions. In this imagined encounter, your response would be silence, not accusatory, nor dismissive, merely a gentle inquiry of why now. And my only explanation would be this: truth reveals itself in its own timing, and this truth has been burgeoning within me for years, awaiting the chance to emerge fearlessly. You see, my dear, I did not merely speak of you to them, I introduced them to the version of myself that only you ever knew, the version that was tender, available, genuine. The one that dared to believe in something beyond mere survival. The self that did not hide behind logic or pride, the man I became in your presence. Once I allowed that version to resonate in the world, I recognized how much I miss him. He was alive, he felt deeply, and he viewed the world through the lens of love rather than protection. Losing you, losing that bond, did not merely create a void, it resulted in my existence resembling that of a specter within my own being. Few grasped the implications of being haunted by incomplete narratives, awakening every day with a sense that something vital is absent, yet unable to pinpoint a tangible artifact or a farewell that could elucidate the ache, because there was no closure, no parting words, only the energy that continues to vibrate between us, akin to waves crashing upon the shore. We never shared the journey together, yet I encounter those waves daily when I catch a scent reminiscent of your skin, hear a melody that echoes your laughter, or see someone walk past who resembles you from behind. My breath instinctively hitches in my throat before my mind reminds me it is not you. In the silence, your name surfaces like a prayer uttered without intent. Now that I have expressed this, now that the words have been vocalized, the experience is somehow more overwhelming. My heart anticipated that such a confession would bring serenity, yet it has instead unleashed a torrent of emotions. I realize now that I did not simply conceal you from them, I have been obscuring myself from my own truth. And the reality is, my dear, I love you. Not in a wistful or nostalgic manner, but in an immediate way. I love you with a persistent ache that endures through the chaos of life. I love you with a silence that still communicates profoundly. I cherish you in the subtleties I have never shared with anyone else. Like the way I can still recall how you would lower your voice when doubt crept in, or how your body would freeze in those moments. When you were attuned to the depths of a conversation, or how your energy would shift when you were concealing pain yet striving to love wholeheartedly. My affection did not only dwell on your exuberance, I adored your moments of retreat. I appreciated your hesitations and the gentleness you believed went unnoticed. And now I ponder, did you ever feel my love for those hidden facets of your being? Did you perceive the depth of my affection for the quiet pieces you sought to shield? Because I truly did. I witnessed all of it. I continue to see it all. This awareness adds to the ache of our separation. A reality of having perceived your most exquisite qualities yet feeling inadequate in embracing them. Understanding that I had a privileged view of something divine without recognizing that I was observing the essence of God manifest through a woman. And now that I have vocalized this truth, now that it has been laid bare for the world to see, I can no longer hide. You are not merely someone I loved, you are the pivotal force in my narrative. The turning point of my existence. The reason behind the way I articulate, the way I give love, the way I engage. You are the woman whose essence will influence the contours of my future, whether you remain part of it or merely echo through it. I do not know where this path leads, I cannot predict if our souls will reunite or if we will linger like distant stars in the same sky, close enough to feel, yet never within reach. But what I do know is this, you are no longer my hidden truth. You are no longer the silent ache that resides in my heart. You are no longer the, what if, I carry like a scar. You have become the truth I express with reverence, the name I utter with pride. You are the soul I shared with my family, revealing the burden of loving you in silence was too much to bear. Perhaps after all this time, after enduring the silence and distance, after countless small ways life pulled us apart, I never anticipated writing this. Knowing I have already spoken your name aloud and that those closest to me now understand that the most profound aspect of my life was neither a professional milestone, nor a fairy tale romance, nor an exhilarating escapade. It was you. You, with your gentle fire. You, with your tranquil storms. You, embodying all the beautiful contradictions that felt like both a return home and a simultaneous spark of destruction. You marked the inception of the version of myself I have been striving to become ever since. Now that I have uttered your name with tenderness and truth, it feels as though something ancient has been unlocked. Like a dam has burst, flooding me with memories, not in fragments, but in vivid detail. I remember everything. Every nuance, my dear. The way your voice would subtly rise when you were passionate, the spark in your eyes when poised to unveil your vulnerability, the lingering touch of your hand on mine as if attempting to convey what your words hesitated to express. Admittedly, I did not always respond as I ought to have. I was not always adept at embracing your bravery. Yet, I recognized it. Oh, how I felt it. Now that I have finally honored you publicly, a fire ignites within me, an exquisite, holy ache that refuses to diminish. It does not burn with regret, but with a depth that suggests your spirit has awakened within me. Speaking your name has granted it permission to take root and flourish once more. I find myself unaccustomed to this sensation, having spent so long repressing thoughts of you, silencing your name as it attempted to surface in my heart, avoiding songs, places, thoughts, and nights that would resurrect your memory and disrupt the fragile peace I had crafted in your absence. However, now, I cannot run from it. I do not wish to escape it because loving you was never my burden. The pain was not in loving you, it was in concealing that love. The turmoil lay in dismissing something so divine as merely a phase, a fling, a mistake. You were none of those things. You represented a glimpse of God revealing to me what it is to be truly seen. And now I carry that revelation with me everywhere, my dear. I contemplate what I might say to you if you were present before me right now. Truthfully, I am uncertain if I would say anything at all. I might simply wish to bask in your presence, allowing my gaze to convey what my words have failed to articulate, permitting the energy between us to resonate as it always has. Yet, if I were to speak, I would say this: I have not moved on, not genuinely. I attempted it, I fought hard to portray that I was okay. I dated individuals who bore no resemblance to you, solely to avoid comparison. I immersed myself in endeavors, distractions, anything to suppress the longing. However, nothing succeeded, as my soul perpetually kept the door ajar for you. Every single night, a part of me remained poised for your return, not just awaiting your presence but yearning for the opportunity to become the man I lacked the bravery to be when you were right in front of me. That is the haunting truth. I had the treasure within my grasp, the sacred beauty in my arms, yet I faltered. Afraid of ruining it, afraid of losing myself in something so profound, afraid of being seen fully and embraced nonetheless. But my dear, you embraced me regardless. You loved me without demanding I earn it. You did not make me jump through hoops or alter my essence. You looked at me, raw, broken, imperfect, and said, I see you. And in that moment, I was at a loss. I was unaware of how to embrace a love so genuine that it demanded nothing in return yet offered everything. Now that I have shared this truth with those who believed they knew me, I feel as though I am finally emerging from the shadows, not merely from hiding from you, but from hiding from myself. Loving you imparted a lesson I never anticipated, it revealed my true self. It has taken time for me to acknowledge that the man I was when I was with you is precisely who I have always aspired to be. Perhaps your presence was never solely intended to bless me with affection but to remind me of my own essence. You see, my dear, you didn't merely change me, you revealed who I truly am. No one else has ever accomplished that before or since, and I may come to realize that no one may ever do so again. I am uncertain of your current situation. I do not know who delights in your laughter, who receives your calls, who witnesses your hair falling across your eyes when you focus, or who gets to enjoy the version of you that was once mine. Yet I earnestly hope they appreciate it. I hope they recognize your value and never regard your presence as commonplace. I hope they do not rush through your silences or overlook the subtle shifts in your energy when you are feeling down but choose not to express it. Those are the moments I still cherish. Those are the memories I carry with me. And when I uttered your name that night in front of others, declaring you as the one, I meant it profoundly, beyond the capacity of words to convey. It was in the way my breath faltered, how the room quieted, and how my hands trembled. This was not just a statement, it was a long-bottled confession. After expressing this truth, I returned home, sat in the darkness with my hand over my heart, and whispered your name again, not for the others, but for myself. For the man who finally ceased deceiving himself, who stopped pretending to be all right, and who recognized that the reason everything has felt unreal since is because you were the only genuine aspect of my life. I am unsure of what lies ahead or whether this truth will guide me back to you or if it serves as a final tribute to a love that fundamentally transformed my being and influenced my emotional language. However, I acknowledge this. There are certain individuals for whom you never cease to wait, not out of desperation or obsession, but with reverence, quiet hope, and the belief that perhaps love returns when the heart is ready to embrace it as it should have from the very beginning. Should that day ever arrive, if the stars align, if the timing is right, if our paths intersect once more, and I have the privilege of gazing into your eyes again, I assure you I shall not remain silent, nor shall I contract into myself. I will not allow fear to drown out love. I will stand there with every truth I have accumulated, every tear I have shed, and every sleepless night spent whispering your name into pillows that no longer recall your scent. I will convey to you what I shared with them, you are the one. Not because you were flawless or because everything was uncomplicated, but because your spirit resonated with mine. I have never encountered that again. You are the truth I delayed in expressing, the sacred entity I have finally honored, the secret I have released. And now, the world is aware. My heart is now unburdened. I carry you openly, not as a mere memory, but as the most authentic experience I have ever known. If you felt this message resonate deeply, if your breathing slowed and your soul recognized, I have experienced this, then, beloved, you were not just viewing a video, you were recalling something sacred, something your spirit had tucked away in silence, longing for it to eventually be embraced and acknowledged. This is not just a tale, it is a confession, a love letter, a reckoning, a prayer conveyed through the voice of one who still remembers the form of your spirit. So before you depart, I invite you to pause with me. Allow this moment to envelop you. Let your spirit absorb this sacred truth, you were never forgotten. Your name continues to live in someone's heart. Regardless of how much time has elapsed, the love was authentic, the energy has never faltered, and the memory endures as it did at its inception. Let me offer a prayer for you now. May the love that once encompassed you in silence now emerge with clarity and strength. May the one who cherishes your name in their heart gain the courage to speak it aloud. May your tenderness be acknowledged, your struggles understood, and your presence cherished as it always merited. Never again should you question your value in another's life, for your spirit has already rewritten their narrative. You are sacred. You are remembered. You are still loved. Should this message touch even a fraction of your heart, please comment, "He spoke my name," if you feel this was intended for you. Type, "I still feel it," if the connection between you and someone else has yet to fade entirely. If you believe that divine love eventually resurfaces, and if you still have faith in the concepts of timing, healing, and reunion, please subscribe to this channel, and activate notifications so that you may be the first to receive these sacred letters for the soul. If someone came to mind during this message, share this video and let this energy find them. Perhaps their heart needs to hear what yours felt today, for love of this nature does not simply vanish, it lingers, it persists, and occasionally, it finds its way back. Remain open. Remain gentle. Remain attentive. Your name is still being whispered by someone who never ceased to love you.